Audi is coming soon. Who are they chasing down in the most successful engine makers list? Ferrari and Mercedes are obvious contenders, but who else? Well, join me and let's find out. 10 most successful engine manufacturers in Formula 1 ever. 10. BRM, 18 wins. First one 1959 Dutch Grand Prix, most recent 1972 Monaco Grand Prix. Now if you're a normal, younger than 75-year-old fan of Formula 1, you may be asking, who in the flip are BRM? Don't worry, I gotcha. Quoting that beacon of information Wikipedia, BRM was founded just after the Second World War by Raymond Mays, who had built several hill climb and road racing cars under the ERA brand before the war, and Peter Birdson, a longtime associate. Mays' pre-war successes and access to pre-war Mercedes-Benz and Auto Union design documents inspired him to build an all-British Grand Prix car for the post-war era as a national prestige project, with financial and industrial backing from the British motor industry and its suppliers channeled through a trust fund, end quote. So BRM, with its stolen German technology, or British racing motors, was a kind of English Ferrari. They actually won the Constructors and World Drivers' Championships in 1962, with the greatest potential Bond villain to never play the role, a Graham Hill.
They told me you were assassinated in Hong Kong.
Yes, this is my second life.
Driving an all-British BRM car and engine. BRM also sold their engines to other teams, with very limited success. The engine never won another Formula 1 title, and won its last race in 1972 as said. Graham Hill got 10 of their 18 wins, so he was their Superman. And their last entry was the 1977 Italian Grand Prix, failing to qualify for the race. 9th, BMW, 20 wins. First win, 82 Canadian Grand Prix, most recent, 08 Canadian Grand Prix. They sure love it in Canada. Winners of a single World Drivers' Championship and 0 Constructors tells the story of BMW's F1 fortunes. Unable to translate their success in other forms of motorsport to continued Formula 1 success, the Germans only won the one World Drivers' Championship when they supplied the engines for Nelson Piquet's Brabham in 1983, that's a long time ago. They returned as engine suppliers to Williams in 2000, but it didn't really threaten the big boys of the day, Ferrari and McLaren, except for the 2003 season where they won 4 races and challenged for World Drivers and Constructors titles, ultimately finishing behind championships winners Ferrari in the Constructors. In 05, BMW bought Sauber, but ultimately failed, winning 1 race and finishing runners-up in the 07 season, approximately 40 million points behind the little horsies. BMW would exit the sport in 09, selling the team back to Peter Sauber for the 2010 season. Ironically, Sauber is also the team that Audi bought and will replace on the grid. Hope the 4 Rings of Fire have more success than the Bavarian propellers did. Why did I call them the Bavarian propellers? Look at their logo, it's a propeller in motion. If you didn't know that, my pleasure. 8th, Honda Red Bull Powertrain, 21 wins. First win 2023 Bahrain, most recent 2023 Abu Dhabi. One of 2 Honda entries on this list, a strange one, but let me try and explain. Honda keep exiting and re-entering the sport. They buggered off in 08, sold up to Braun and indirectly caused the greatest upset in the sport's history when Button won the title that year. Honda have been supplying Red Bull with engines for a while now. But with their leaving and coming back record, they somehow managed to supply Red Bull with engines and then nabbed the colourful cows developing their own version of the Honda engines, and then came back to have the 2023 Red Bull engine be a Red Bull Powertrain badged monster that became the most successful single season beast in history. Madness!
It wasn't hard. See, madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Number 7, TAG, 25 wins. First win, 84 Brazil, most recent 87 Portuguese Grand Prix. Now most sane people would wonder why a watchmaker is on a list of most successful engines. Bear with me. Actually, McLaren used TAG badged Porsche engines. How did this happen? Well, Wikipedia, and I quote, TAG sponsored Formula 1 team Williams during the early 80s, covering the period when team drivers Alan Jones and Keke Rosberg won the 80 and 82 championships respectively. During the 83 season, Monsieur Auger, I've no idea to say this, had a meeting with McLaren team boss Ron Dennis, who offered Auger the chance of not just a sponsorship deal, but having part ownership of McLaren, end quote. Ron Dennis thus convinced the Williams backer Techniques de Avant-Garde, or TAG, to fund Porsche-built, TAG-branded turbo engines, and they teamed up to win 2 constructors and 3 world drivers titles with Prost and Niki Lauda. The turbo era ended, McLaren nicked the Honda engines again off Williams, and Porsche bailed from the sport, so far never to be seen again. TAG remained in the sport as part owners of McLaren for many years, but never again engine suppliers. 6th, Coventry Climax, 40 wins. First win, 58 Argentine Grand Prix. Most recent, 65 German Grand Prix. Now that sounds like a fun engine, that their Climax. Bad jokes aside, this engine supplier won 40 races in 7 years in a time when they raced like 8 times a season. So that's pretty decent. Winners of 4 constructors and 4 world drivers titles. Nice. They were gone from the sport by the end of 1969. Coventry Climax motors were used in Cooper, Lotus, Fry, BRM, JBW, Ferguson, Gilby, Emerson, Lola, Brabham, Scirocco, LDS, Eagle and Shannon-built chassis, winning their titles with Cooper and Lotus, with legends like Jack Brabham and Jim Clark reaching their pinnacle or climax of the title race by becoming world champions with Climax Power. 5th, Honda with 89 wins. First win 1965 Mexico, most recent 2021 Abu Dhabi. Now this is the proper Honda powered cars, not built in collaboration with energy drink companies. The Honda that powered Senna and Prost to domination in the 80s. 6 constructors and 6 world drivers titles is mighty impressive stuff. After Senna won the 91 title and Renault came up with an unbeatable beast of a power unit for Williams, Honda bailed once more from Formula 1, returning as engine supplier in 2000 and buying the BAR team in 2005. After little success, Honda bailed after the 2008 season, and Jenson Button is still grateful. Returning in 2015, they supplied engines to the worst McLaren in history. Everybody cried. They left to join Red Bull as official supplier until 2021, after which the strange Red Bull powertrain thing happened. From 2026, Honda will supply Aston Martin with engines. Wonder when they'll do their next disappearing act. Number 4, Renault, and this is a big jump to 169 wins. First win, 79 French Grand Prix, appropriate. Most recent, 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix. What was that? Ocon. Young ones, the Alpines you laugh at now is not the Renault us with the grey hair feared in the 90s and 2000s. Renault power was as scary as anything French had ever been since, well, Napoleon. 12 constructors and 11 world drivers titles tell the story. It was with Renault power that Alonso ended Schumacher and Ferrari's dominance in 2005. It was with Renault power that Williams dominated the early 90s and middle 90s. And it was with Renault engines that Vettel won 4 world drivers titles. Don't let their current struggles fool you. Them Frenchies know how to build an engine. Number 3, Ford with 176 wins. First win, 67 Dutch Grand Prix. Most recent, 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix. Forget about the oil league jokes. Ford engines have won 10 constructors and 13 drivers titles, supplying power units for legendary teams like Brabham, Lotus, McLaren, Tyrrell and Benetton, among many others. Jackie Stewart, James Hunt, Nelson Piquet, Keke Rosberg and Michael Schumacher count among Ford's champions in Formula 1. Their final victory was taken by Giancarlo Fisichella for Jordan, one of my favorite all-time teams, and in 2005. Ford will return to Formula 1 in 2026, replacing Honda in that weird Red Bull powertrain partnership thingy. Number 2, Mercedes, 212 wins. First win 1954 in France, most recent 2022 Sao Paulo. Top 2 places are pretty obvious. Team Toto and its previous incarnations have won 10 constructors and 13 drivers titles, of course, including that one single greatest title achievement when Rosberg beat Hamilton in equal equipment. And your number 1, you knew this, Ferrari with 244 wins. I knew it! First won 1951 British GP, most recent 2023 Singapore. You knew Ferrari was number one before clicking play. You didn't know about BRM, BMW and Renault, so don't be all smart-assy now. Appreciate my work. But in any case, the horses from Maranello have won by far the most races, but have also competed in like 2 billion races, so statistically they were bound to win some, despite their seeming obsession with grabbing defeat from the jaws of victory when even remotely possible. Don't get me wrong, Ferrari is my second favorite team, only behind Papaya Power, but they seem to hate success and tactically appear like they sometimes belong in a tent with makeup and orange hair. Despite this, Ferrari engines have 1,076 starts, winning 16 constructors and 15 drivers' titles. According to Wikipedia, and I quote, Ferrari has previously supplied engines to Minardi 1991, Scuderia Italia 92-93, Sauber 97-2005 with engines badged as Petronas, and 2010 to 2025 with Alfa, Prost 2001 badged Acer, Red Bull Racing 06, Spijker 07, Scuderia Toro Rosso 7-13 and 16, Force India 08 and Marussia 14 and 15. When regulations changed in 2014, Cosworth decided not to make the new V6 turbo engines. Marussia, Cosworth's only team at the time, signed a multi-year deal with Ferrari beginning in 2014. As of 2023, Ferrari supplies the Haas and Alfa Romeo teams. End quote. No idea how Mr. Enzo Ferrari would have felt about the likes of Haas having his badge on their not quick cars engines. But money is money, eh? That's our list. My hope is that you enjoyed watching it. My dream is that you subscribe to the channel, and my intention is to create quality content that you can watch for ages to come. Please think about subscribing and sharing the videos, and thank you kindly once more for watching. Hope to hear from you in the comment section. God bless and goodbye.